Hey, how you doing, everybody? Welcome to My Vegas, the show. This is where we get down, we get dirty, we get live with amazing people here on the show. We find out, we do what's called a deep dive. We get a little bit deeper with them. In the magazine, you might meet somebody or a business or a business owner. But today, we're going to do a deeper dive with somebody that I met probably a few months ago on the campaign trail. As you know, there's a campaign going on right now. But before we get started, I do want to remind you, hey, make sure that you do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell on YouTube so you know when we release a new show. Okay, so and leave us a comment and let us know how we're doing. But right now, thank you for joining us here at the show. And my special guest today, amazing guy, head to toe. You know, there's I'm going to tell you more as we get into the show, but this guy, Joe, sir, if I may shake your hand.
Sure.
What a gentleman, what a nice guy, what a judge. This is Judge Joseph. Joe, we've got a lot going on here to talk about today.
Yeah.
We've got some great stuff. I know you're running for office. You've been around a while. You got a great history. You're a singing judge.
Well, I made the mistake of singing one time at a function, and ever since then, they're like, hey, get on the stage, sing a song. I got one song, and that's it.
Yeah, and
one song.
So many times people look at judges as though they're like, if you're in trouble, then the judge is, your last chance for whatever, and he might. They don't look at you. They don't give you the love. They don't get the love that you deserve. Okay, but if you get to know this particular fella, you're going to find out a lot about him and what an amazing guy he is. And I have a funny feeling they're going to love you when we're done with this show, Joe. Mm-hmm. But right now, let's start with. We'll get to business later, but let's talk about personal. Give us a little bit of background on your personal life and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, it's a somewhat unique story. I was born in Fall River, Massachusetts, home of Lizzie Borden.
Okay.
I was there for a few years. My family then moved to California. My father got a job out there at UAW working for General Motors.
Okay.
And back there in the 70s, California was a wonderful place to be. It was really nice.
Yeah.
I grew up there, went to school there. Then went to Cal State Northridge. I graduated cum laude from there.
What part of California?
Southern California.
SoCal, okay.
Yes, so I was at Cal State Northridge. I graduated from there and decided to go on to law school. Went down to beautiful campus, University of San Diego,
okay.
School of Law. It's just beautiful. I got a scholarship to go there, so I went down there. And then I got an offer from a law firm that they wanted to open a law firm in Las Vegas to work on probates, wills, trust, and estate planning.
Okay.
That was in 1991.
All right.
So I move out here, no idea. I didn't know anybody.
Didn't know anybody.
Just said, it's a leap of faith. And I went forward and opened up the firm, started working. A couple years later, I get a phone call from a Dominic Gentile.
I remember that name.
Well, he's one of the most prominent attorneys, just in Las Vegas, but probably in the whole United States. He says, I want you to come work for my firm. And when Dominic calls and asks you, you say yes.
Yeah.
So I worked with Dominic. Now, the people at that firm, it was Dominic Gentile, Gene Porter, Nancy Seda, David Wall, and me. Of those people,
Nancy Seda
became a Supreme Court justice.
Automobile dealer,
Nope,
husband?
Unrelated.
Okay.
Nancy Seda became a Supreme Court justice.
Okay.
David Wall went on to become a district court judge. Gene
Wow.
Porter was a district court judge, and I'm now a justice of the peace judge. So of those 5 people, 4 went on to become judges.
Wow.
So it was a very fun firm we worked for, very powerful. But I practiced for 18 years, and then in 2009 I got elected to the bench. I got not elected. I was selected by the county commissioner after having about 4 or 5 month interview. We had 29 candidates apply, and of those, there were 2 openings. Of the 29 that first applied, they picked 6 of them, and those 6 went on to the county commission, and the county commissioner selected 2 of us. Mm-hmm. So we got the selection from the county commission to be appointed as judges.
Wow.
And then I had a run in 2010. I ran in 2012, 2018, and then I'm running today for retention or to be reelected.
So how many years you been, and this is a district court, right?
This is Justice Court.
Justice Court.
One of the first courts you're going to see when we first get, if you have any problems, criminal, civil, we do civil, traffic tickets, temporary protective orders, so we handle quite a bit.
What about, let's talk about stuff that I've heard of over my years. What if you have like business, if 2 businesses are having a strife?
Well, we have a business court in district court.
Really?
Yes, because the amount of money is probably a lot higher than justice court can handle.
Okay.
We're only up to $15 $14,000. So what you would go up to district court on that, and they have a business court that handles those matters.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes.
What about, I've heard of small claims court.
Small claims, we have that. We have hearing masters.
But that's
that handle
not you.
that. That's well, it's not me. I sit in the criminal division
Okay.
of justice court. We do have 3 judges who handle civil matters.
Okay.
And they handle the small claims court cases.
So within the justice, that's your division.
Yes.
There are you could be someone could take all the criminal stuff and someone could take the civil.
Yes.
Is that how it's broken
Yes.
up? Is there a third one or just those 2?
No, we have some people who do the initial arraignment court. We call it the IA court. We have a specially called court called DUIs.
Okay.
All DUIs go to one division. We have domestic violence cases that go to 2 different courtrooms.
Okay.
So we run those 2. So those are the differences that we have. But normally we call it general criminal is the one that I have that handles everything. Although right now I'm handling the resort corridor courts.
Okay.
In the area of town on the Las Vegas Strip, any crime that is occurred there, around that area, a
Okay.
certain area, I handle those
That
cases.
falls
Falls within my jurisdiction, yes.
wow. In that tourist corridor, you're talking about the strip area.
Basically the strip area,
What
yes.
kind of stuff winds up in your courtroom? What happens on the strip that winds up in court?
We get everything. I mean, anything from misdemeanor to murders. So every kind of crime that occurs in there, it's specifically directed towards my courtroom.
How about those guys, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, they were running the casinos, grabbing money and running out. All that.
That would be my case.
Yeah,
because it happened on the resort corridor strip.
Yeah.
We're trying to work together with different agencies. One of the reasons we set up the resort corridor court was also because of the unhoused population that we have down there. We have such a high number that they go to the strip, and we're trying to find them places to go. We divert them to mental health courts, community courts, programs. And so when we bring them into our courts, we're not just putting them in, arresting them, keeping them in custody. We're trying to get them into some kind of services. And we work together with the resort corridor people, with the NRA, the Nevada Resort Association,
Okay.
that works together in trying to get programs to set them up for, to try to help them out. I mean, you know, those are some of the things we want to take care of. We can fix those kind of crimes, you know, or those kind of violations. The people who are unhoused, the people who have got some mental issues or are down there. The other ones, the people, the door pushers that push doors open, try to get into the hotel rooms, the simple crimes, the prostitutions and stuff like that. Those crimes that we also handle too, but we really don't have a diversion
What's
program.
the most common crime that goes on the strip corridor?
Well, we got prostitution, we've got theft charges, we've got a lot of theft crimes going on.
Okay.
Drug charges going on. Fraud, believe it or not. A lot of people come out here and they have these machines that create credit cards or checks. And for some reason, they're renting rooms. They're getting credit cards. I'm not sure how they're picking them up. They're getting them from tourists or something like that.
Okay.
But then they're running them through the machines, and then they're creating new credit cards and they're
Duplicates.
using them. So I guess because Vegas has such access to, you know, ability to get monies in different places, they're using the credit cards in different places.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're seeing a lot of that starting
We
to
see a
on the
lot of
rise.
that, yes.
Very interesting, very interesting.
Yes.
So personal background on that, Massachusetts.
Yes, Massachusetts.
So what was it, Fall
River.
Fall River?
Fall River.
How many years were you there?
I was only there about 6 years.
About 6
But
years.
I'm still a Red Sox fan.
You
I still
still
love
got-
it.
you still got-
love it.
yeah.
I still got the East Coast
You do, 100%.
attitude.
And that's why it caught
So-
my attention when I first met you. I said, where's this guy from? He's got a good vibe.
Oh, I love
a good
going
energy,
back there. No.
And a good laugh. You have a good, how do you laugh? You know, let's move on to the next one here. I got
All
a
right.
question for you. How do you laugh at life when you got such a serious job during the day? How do you be, when I met you, it was at after hours and you were the happiest guy in the room.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Well, you know, it's really the things that we see, and even in my legal practice, you know, dealing with murder cases. Nothing fun about that, nothing exciting, because there is somebody whose father, mother, brother, or sister is dead. And you have to deal with that situation, and it's very sad. And we have to deal with this, and there's somebody who may be going away for life, or maybe facing the death penalty. So a lot of emotions are going on, and it really affects you. But afterwards, you know, you've got to release some that energy that you've got, and the anger and everything. And so sometimes just, you know, talking with friends, going out, having a good time, golfing, singing, you know, doing a little karaoke. That was always fun.
Yeah.
But just, you know, things like that. We handle traffic tickets. I used to do in-custody traffic tickets, and we would have fun. We would joke around with them because we were dismissing the cases mostly. These were people who have already have been in NDOC, Nevada Department of Corrections. They were coming back.
Okay.
They had some open traffic tickets. We were just going to close them out with credit time served because they've already served their time for something else. So it was a way we would joke around with them. We would have fun. We'd ask them some questions and
very
not too serious,
cool.
but it's a way to release some of that energy that you have because you're dealing with such negativity during
heartbreaking stuff all day long. You got to
Yes.
go out and it's so. When I met you out there, you're a judge. You're the happiest guy in town. I don't know how you do, but it's got to be something. I bet you your mom. So I bet your mom put some happiness in your heart when you were a little boy.
Well, you just got to realize that this is a job, and you have to do it right, because people depend on it. That you get it right and you do it right, and that means for everybody involved: the defendant, the witnesses, the victim, the prosecution, the defense, and everybody. So you focus on that, but when you're done, you realize this is a job. I follow the Constitution. I do what the Constitution tells me to do. I uphold the law. That's very important. So I uphold the law. But when you're done from that, you can put it aside and realize you don't have to take this home. You leave it there. Once you're done with work, leave it there.
Yeah.
Go out and have fun with your friends. Go out and talk. Have a good
That's
time.
any
relax.
business too, I tell you.
Yes. Yes.
In the magazine, I've been doing this all my life, this magazine business, and there was about 10 years where I was taking it home. I was on the computer all day at work. I'd go home, I'd grab a bite to eat, I'd sit on the couch, open up the laptop, and I'm back on until 10 or 11 at night, and then go to bed. And it just can be overwhelming. You gotta have balance. Wow. Speaking of balance, let's go into a little bit now the other side. So your personal life led to this. Tell us about your legal background.
All right. Well, like I said, I graduated from University of San Diego School of Law. I studied over in England, believe it or not, for a summer with Justice Kennedy of the United States Supreme Court.
Wow.
I got a picture, him and my friend, Justice Kennedy, my friend and I, we have a picture and we're smiling, we're shaking hands. Kennedy came out and spoke here about 10 years ago. And my friend flew out from San Diego because he was there. So we have the picture, and we're all excited. We see Justice Kennedy. We're like, oh, but for lawyers, I mean, he's a rock star. He's a Supreme Court justice. Sure. So and I'm a judge at the time. So we're shaking. We got this picture, and Justice Kennedy holds the picture up, and it's been taken. The picture is about 20 years old. And we were in England, we were studying under you. Do you remember us? And he did. He remembered because we had some stories. But he looks at the picture, and the funny part, he says, looks at me, he says, you and I got old. This guy didn't change a day. I'm like, really? Thanks. So he signed the back of the picture. It was really fun.
Wow.
But so I studied under Justice Kennedy just for the summer. Then I started practicing law out here for 18 years. And then when I got on the bench in 2009, that's where we handled a bunch of different cases. I used to do DUI specialty court, which was people who got DUIs. Instead of going into prison or going into custody, we gave them the option of going into a treatment program. And it run about 18 months. We have to have them make sure that they're sober. They go through counseling. They have to have an interlock device on their car so they can't drive. They have an ankle monitor to detect any alcohol intake. And if they get through the program and succeed, then they avoid going into prison or jail.
Wow.
And so it helps them. And the recidivist rate was less than 7%. So people who went in there and completed it within the next 5 years were found not to have any further violations of the law related to alcohol or anything like that. So
what I had a friend from church approached me, and he needed some help, and I asked him what happened, and went to lunch, and he got a DUI, and good guy, just a bad night. Good guy on a bad night. That could be a country song. But he had, when we were meeting at lunch, a little machine that he had to breathe into or something every hour or something like that.
yes.
I guess the technology is there. It looked like a cell phone, and he had to, whatever. That's out there now too?
That's out there now, and when you're in the program, they do either they have a handheld device or they can have a device on the ankle monitor. Ankle monitor, you have to check it and you see if there's alcohol in fluctuations. But for the blow, when you blow in, it does show immediately, and it's sent over. And if there's a violation, they can pick you up right then and there.
Yeah, they go, where are you at? We're coming to get you.
Yes.
Yeah. What? How many DUIs happen in this town? Now, never mind the corridor. I'm sure there's a lot on the Strip. But how many in the local world?
We've got quite a bit. I mean, I don't know the exact number. Listen, Las Vegas Justice Court is one of the busiest courts in the United States.
Really?
We have over 191,000 cases that we handle. Anywhere from traffic matters all the way felonies, misdemeanors, and temporary protective orders and civil matters. But we handle quite a bit of cases.
Man.
So we're a very busy court. The number of DUIs, I don't know offhand, but it's
how many cases do you handle in a given week?
Boy, I'll tell you, any given day, we're running anywhere from 80 to 200 cases a day.
80 to 200 cases.
What that means, though, a lot of them are, we have first-time arraignments. When they first get arrested, they come in front of us. We decide what bail's set at. We decide if we're going to set a release terms. We ask them what kind of plea they have. Then we have those, the in-custodies, we have the out-of-custodies. Then we have the status checks, like we've released you, you pled guilty, you're supposed to do your requirements, you need to come back to do your requirements, you come back, you show them you did it, we'll close the case out. So we have those, and then we have traffic matters, then we have infractions, traffic infractions. So sometimes we can have 200 a day that we're running.
Man.
Some, some are real quick. Have you done your requirements? Or how do you plead to this traffic matter? You want to set it for trial, or you make an offer?
And your hours are, is it an 8-hour day, or are you talking 10?
Our clerks run 10 hours a day. We run four days a week, 10 hours a day.
Let's talk about that.
So,
you said something in the pandemic kind of changed the system?
And during the pandemic, we went from 5 days down to 4 days.
Okay.
We had longer hours, but they wanted to limit the people coming in and try to have a day off to try to limit the possibility of getting the pandemic. So that was something that they did back then. And they cut back. Back then, we got down to 4 days, we had 10 hours.
Okay.
Back then, and I told you about this earlier, that our clerks were asked, because we were getting less work going in, the county came in and said, we need you clerks to take a pay cut. They want a 3% pay cut on the clerks, but have them work the same, if not more hours. And during that time, Justice Court judges were scheduled to get a 6% raise for longevity and cost of living. And I had sent a letter out to Jeff Wells, the county manager, and I said, do not give me that raise. During this time that my clerks are not getting a raise, as a matter of fact, they're getting less money, there's no way in the world I'm going to take any more money. I'm going to get a raise. Wow. Because it's the clerks that do the work. And I said, don't give me that money. Until they get their money paid back, I'm not taking the raise. The clerks do all the work in our courts. They are the ones that put it all together. If it wasn't for them, us judges could not do the work. Yeah. Truly mean that. And you'd be surprised how many clerks touch our files before it even gets to us. We have file clerks, backup clerks, courtroom clerks, clerks that are updating all day long. And, they are the backbone of our community, in the legal community. And, they're in the background. Yeah. You never see them.
Or they're quietly in the courtroom, even the stenographers or whatever.
Yes. So it's very important that we, take care of them, because I really think that and I think any judge will tell you this, without these clerks, there is no way we could do our job.
What time in the morning is your first case?
We open up at 8:30. We have some judges who start at 8 o'clock, maybe even earlier, 7:30. But then we go from there, and we have our in-custodies, arraignments, then our out-of-custody arraignments, out-of-custody status checks, then our in-custody preliminary hearings, in-custody trials, out-of-custody preliminary hearings, out-of-custody trials, temporary protective orders that we hear those. And so we run into the afternoon on some of those cases.
Good stuff, Joe. Good stuff. I'm going to pitch that one. I'm going to ask you this big one here.
All right.
Let's talk about Justice Court.
All right.
Talk to me.
A lot of changes.
What's going on?
We've had... when I first got here, we had 6 justices of the peace. That was it. 16 district court judges, 6 justices of the peace. Now we've got 16 justices of the peace. Okay. And I don't know how many, because we have a family court division. We have over 50 district court judges.
What's Justice of the Peace do?
Justice of the Peace is the judge that you'll see on your first initial appearance on criminal matters. If you get arrested, then you have a right for a hearing for bail. So you'll hear within 24 hours to 48 hours, you'll have a justice of the peace hearing that case to determine whether or not they're going to set bail. Okay. If they do set bail and have charges filed, they come in front of me for an arraignment and the other judges. And then I say, all right, you've got a complaint here. Have you read the complaint? Do you understand the charges? Yes. Are you able to afford an attorney? You understand you have a right to an attorney. You have a right to have a hearing within 15 days. So we set all their rights. And then I decide, okay, I'm going to appoint the public defenders, or you have your own attorney. I'll have set it for hearing, and they decide if they want to have it within 15 days, the preliminary hearing, or if they want to set it further out. Preliminary hearing is this. When we get an arrest warrant, or we get in front of them with a complaint, it says that this person committed this crime on this date. And the evidence we have is this, this, and this. So we as judges say, okay, we've signed an arrest warrant. We agreed with you. Now you show us that evidence. You bring those people forward that you have that can testify as to the facts that gave you probable cause for that arrest warrant.
Okay.
So that way we make sure that you don't just arrest somebody and hold them in there for a long time without showing the court some of the evidence.
Okay.
So that's what preliminary hearing does. And then if I hear the evidence and I say, okay, I find that a crime was committed and that this person may have committed the crime.
Yeah.
It's a small amount of evidence we need, but it's just enough to make sure that the state has something. I then send it up to district court to go to a hearing for jury trial. Now, if it's a misdemeanor, I can hear the trial right then and there. I can set a hearing for the trial. I take the evidence in, and beyond a reasonable doubt is when then I got to make my decision of if they're guilty or not. So
Tough stuff.
They're not guilty, yes.
The hey, how many DUIs before somebody loses their license?
Well, on the first DUI, you do lose your license for 90 days.
Okay.
The second, the increments are greater. Third, you're going to lose it for a year or so, or for a few years, or you know. But really, there's not a set time where you go, you never get a license back. So once you get a felony, though, you're losing your license for years. You know, it's going to have some effect on you.
Yeah, I know. I've got a friend, or someone I know that's had too many.
Yes.
Too many times.
And unfortunately, you know, it should come to a point where if you start getting so many, you want to drive again, you got to have a breath interlock device.
Yeah.
At your own cost. If you want to, if you really feel like you need to drive.
Yeah.
Now, the breath interlock devices are great because, you know, you have to have them there and they have a photograph of you. And you have to be, if you're behind the wheel and you blow in, photograph is taken. Or it's
Yeah.
on the handheld, it takes a picture of you.
Yeah.
We've had people, you know, sitting,
yeah.
I'm in the passenger seat. No, you're not. We see the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You know. So-
Well, I know she won't drive anymore because she thinks one more, and I guess
Yeah.
she's in big trouble, so she doesn't even drive anymore.
Well, it's a-
and Uber makes that, and Lyft makes that a little bit easier.
You know, it's so much easier just to do it that way.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that because it's not worth the risk. Because even your first time DUI, you're looking at $10,000 in just fines, attorney fees, and costs.
Ruin your life.
Losing your license for 90 days, having to have an SR20 additional insurance SR22 for years, more money. It's really the cost is so outrageous.
What we were talking the other day when we met up last week just for having lunch or whatever it was, and you said something about but sometimes you have a little bit of fun in your courtroom. You keep it light.
Yes, well, we try, and it all depends. Like for traffic tickets and stuff, like I was saying, we do it. You know, we try to keep it light because sometimes in certain situations, like I said, the ones when I was doing the in custody traffic violations, we had people who were coming back from NDOC, but they had traffic tickets that were outstanding.
Okay.
They had pled guilty. They'd gone to NDOC, the Nevada Department of Corrections, in the prison. They're coming back and they have a bench warrant for a traffic ticket that's 6, 7, 8 years old. Well, you can't just close it out. You gotta
deal
take
with
a
it.
plea and plead. You know.
Yeah.
So most of the time, what was coming back is they would come in front of us and we would do a quick plead guilty, credit time served, or we're going to dismiss it. But we have to put it on the record. So there were times that we were down there, we would joke around with everybody. We'd ask, trivia questions or something like
Yeah.
that. Just being fun, but not, it's a serious enough, but just to have a little fun and relax.
What was one
and
of them?
stuff.
Red Sox or what?
No. If anybody shows up in my courtroom with a Yankee hat, I put them in custody. That's. Listen, I'm a Red Sox fan.
No.
I shouldn't say that. Somebody's going to show up with a Yankee. I dare you to put me in.
That's funny.
I did tell somebody, you got to remove your hat. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't mean to disrespect the court. I'm like, no, I don't mind if you have a hat. It just can't be a Yankee hat.
Yeah.
You go with
I
Red
don't mind
Sox
it.
hat all you want.
But it's just because the Red Sox.
No.
Let's discuss the future of Justice Court.
Yes. A lot of like I said, there were a lot of changes.
Where are we
Resort
going now?
corridor court. We have changes that have occurred in the law for traffic matters. We've got changes. The DAs just went paperless. So that means that they no longer have those big old bulky files that they used to
Wow.
carry around.
Okay.
It's a little different there. Getting the transmitting the discovery and the information back and forth, a little different than it was because
Okay.
before you just give a piece of paper. So, and Justice Court's the same way. We're starting to go paperless. We're trying to do everything that we can go online so you don't have to come down to the courts and pay for your tickets. You can go online and pay your tickets on there, or you can set a hearing date for traffic matters, some civil matters, and things like that. Civil has been paperless for a while. For customer service, we're trying to get more people to appear via computer instead of having to drive down to court and take care of it there.
Okay.
So going online to take care of the tickets there. But we need to, our system's so old that we haven't updated it yet.
Wow.
We haven't got to that point, so we keep changing it. We have meetings every other week, it looks like, for traffic matters and criminal matters, and we got IT in the room all the time. Can we do this? We got to do this. How can we get a plea on the computer this way? How do we give them the information? How do we set a hearing? How do we merge with the district attorney's office to set a hearing and let them know that this person's objecting to it and they want to have a hearing or trial? Then we need to notify them, and then they need to notify us that the trial date's okay, and that kind of thing. So it takes a lot of work on that.
Where does the money come from to finance our justice system, our court system? Is that city, county, state?
It's
federal?
county and state.
County,
But
state.
mostly the county.
No federal funds.
No, federal funds come in for specialty courts, like our DUI courts,
Okay.
our veterans courts, our mental health courts, our community courts. We do get some money that comes in to help with those kind of programs, and so they get that some of the money for a period of years, and we ask for it again. So we do get some federal funds, but most of our
County and
our
state.
courts are run by our counties. So it's the county that's running the money. We might get some money from the state for some of our programs, but most of it is through our own fees.
Well, here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. And that's all for that. Now, big question. This guy, how many years on the bench?
15 years on the bench.
15 years on the
Yes.
bench, and you're ready for 6 more.
It's another 6 more.
Another 6 more. And because Joe or Joseph? I'd be calling you Joe.
Joseph. Yeah, call me Joe. But Joseph,
Joseph in court.
Just don't call me late for
honorable.
dinner.
But and what's exciting is he's running again. Again, you're the incumbent.
Yes.
It's your seat, your bench. Tell us about the campaign. It's coming. It was November 5th with everyone else.
November 5th was
Okay.
the general. We had a primary that I received 43% of the vote in the primary with 3 other people in there.
Okay.
And so, or
Wow,
2
you
other
received
people. There were
43?
there were 3 people, 3 of us in there. I got 43% of the vote.
Oh wow.
And so we're on there. And I think it's very important. My campaign signs say experience matter. And I want to tell you this. I practiced for 18 years.
Okay.
I hit the bench with 18 years of legal practice behind me, but 0 practice on the bench. And so I would go to the judges who've been there 15, 20, 24 years. And I would say to them, hey, I've got this case, or what's this procedure on this? And it's very important that we maintain that. In the last 5 years, or last 2 years, we had 5 new judges come in.
Okay.
Very experienced, but they're not experienced as judges. We've got another 2 that are coming in, brand new ones, in this cycle. In another 2 years, we'll have another probably 2 leaving. So the experience that we have now is eventually going to decrease.
Okay.
So it's important that we maintain a balance of the new judges who are coming in so they can turn to the older judges like I
yeah,
did
I see.
and ask for their advice and their information. Even the other day, I turned to a judge who had 24 years. I said, listen, I got this kind of weird thing here. I've never seen this before. And I'm on the bench at 15 years. So it's important we maintain that balance of
Yeah.
experience and people coming in so that they can learn from what I learned from other people, and it moves on. So that's important.
And all that education transcends downhill. And that experience and education actually are 2 different things.
Yes.
Education you get from the books in school, but experience is where you get from actually real life experience.
Yes, and that's important that we maintain that, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. I didn't even think about it that way, but having the experience, and so your signs say experience matters,
Yes.
and because the young ones don't have that trial experience, that bench experience.
It's, just to understand life in general and the witnesses, victims, defendants, the police officers, investigators, all of that. It takes a long time to understand all that and the procedures that you have to do. It's more important that we have a judge who understands more of this after they've been practicing for a while. That's important. Then when you're on the bench, the experience you get there is different.
Yeah.
Because, you can't think as a prosecutor, you can't think as a defense attorney, you have to think as a judge that is that's got no biases. He's got, a blank mind.
The way
basically.
I can relate is when I was 21 here in Las Vegas, I got my real estate license. And the school was intense, and I had flashcards, I was studying for the exam and everything, and I passed it. But then when I went out to sell houses, I said, I'm not using any of that stuff in here. out in the street, it's a whole different, it's showing houses, it's listing houses, and it's all has to do with real life stuff. Where in the education I got to give my license was one set of books and and things good things to know, but there was a whole bunch more to know.
Yes.
Out in the real life experience.
And I'm sure you turned to the people who've been there before you and said, hey, how do you do this? What's the best way to do that? And they give you the experience on there. So that's really that we maintain a court that has the experience.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, Joe, Italian, I take it, right?
Of course. Yes.
Forget about it. So let me ask you a question here. Forget about it. I love this guy, but you got to vote for him, okay? It's going to take more than my vote. Your last name is always a little tricky for me.
Sciscento.
Sciscento. Joseph Sciscento. Make sure you vote for Joseph. Any last words you want to tell him?
No, that was it. Just in November is the election. You can start voting in October. They're going to send out the ballots. I'm on the very bottom, Las Vegas Justice Court. If you're in the Las Vegas Township, the county, except for Henderson or North Las Vegas, you can vote for me.
Okay.
So,
So
Joseph Sciscento.
Joseph
My
Sciscento.
mother's nickname was Sissy.
Okay.
They couldn't say Sciscento, so they said Sissy. And God love her, that was, I'm proud to go around and you call me a Sissy all you want because it reminds me of my mother. So Sciscento.
Oh, that's amazing. Joseph Sciscento. Vote for Joe this November 5th. If you vote early, you'll get the ballot. You're at the bottom of the list?
Bottom of the list. We're going to be down there, yes.
All right, so he's got the founder, he's holding everybody up, okay? He's the guy at the bottom of the list, and that's for a reason.
Las Vegas Justice Court. Yes.
Las Vegas Justice
Department
Court.
2.
Well, thank you, sir, so much for joining us.
No, this is great. Thank you, everybody.
We're going to have a lot to look forward to. I cannot wait to see you win. I know you're going to win. All right, I want to put some prayers in my church for you up there. But for you out there, if you're watching, okay, just want to make sure you vote for Joseph Sciscento. And thank you for joining our show today. That's it for this episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube. And make sure to give us some comment and let us know how we're doing.
Ding, ding, ding.
Until then, MyVegas says thank you, God bless, and hopefully we will not see you in court.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.